As promised, I want to set the record straight on Kelvin Banks. There seems to be, there doesn't seem to be, there is missing context with who Kelvin Banks is, not just as a player, but as a person, which perfectly ties into the Cowboys pre-draft press conference that happened this morning at about 11:45 or so, in which not just Stephen Jones, not just Will McClay, not just Brian Schottenheimer, the collective of executives and coach, singular, not plural, there's only Brian Schottenheimer was featured, alluding to the number one draft trait, the often overlooked and misunderstood issues surrounding the draft and evaluating players that I touch on over and over again. Part of the sports below the surface moniker that we live by. And by the way, I'm Lando from the Lando Show. You can see right here behind me. Still some upgrades to the studio in the works, including the camera that may or may not cut out here soon enough. My guy Lou from Lou's Texas helped me out troubleshoot the technology. But this is sports below the surface.
I am inevitable.
I want to briefly address something that I've already written, but I haven't put into visual form yet. I actually recorded a short form reel that I never had a chance to get around to. Two small children, one on the way, two small businesses. Life is crazy in the fast lane over here. 2.5 months ago, still have it in the camera roll right now. It was in the pre-draft process was picking up, building up to the combine. And the narrative around Kelvin Banks was he's a guard, period, in a discussion. It was groupthink, largely. People who didn't understand the player the way that I do. All right. And I want to look a little bit beyond that, what the traits say about who he is as a player, whether you think he's a tackle or a guard. Kind of fitting that the Cowboys have a need at both still today. And the Cowboys, yes, they did. All the talk and all the hate that I've been receiving, and I don't take it personal. I just report my objective truth, and which is why I'm perfectly okay. Whether you agree with me or disagree with me, I know that what I'm reporting is factually accurate. At the very least, the work is done, and it's in sound logic and reasonable and objective truth. I want to focus on Kelvin Banks, the person, the below the surface sports psychology, what people are missing with this player evaluation. You may or may not know that Kelvin Banks, as a true freshman, stepped onto the 40 acres and lined up against four. It started at left tackle, by the way, and lined up against four future first round edges in the Big 12 that season. The list is as follows. Will Anderson Jr. from Alabama, selected 3rd overall for the Houston Texans. Tyree Wilson from Texas Tech, 7th overall to the Las Vegas Raiders. Will McDonald IV from Iowa State University, 15th overall to the New York Jets. That's 3 inside the top 15 if you're counting. 4 in the first round. The 4th of which, Felix Anudike Uzama, 31st overall to the Kansas City Chiefs. Not a single sack allowed. As a true freshman, and by the way, the reports were that the second he stepped on the field at Texas, the 40 acres, not just DKR, the 40 acres, the practice field, summer workouts. Arguably the best player on the team. Right? Then this freshman context occurs. And then you see this tweet here from PFF College. Texas OT Kelvin Banks, junior since 2023. So that's since his sophomore campaign. 1,043 total pass blocking snaps, 2 sacks allowed, and only 3 quarterback hits. A 90.7 overall pass blocking grade. But Lando, but that Georgia game.
All right, yeah, get him the hell out of here, will you, please? Get him out of here. Throw him out.
One game. Playing through injury. The second time, at least. And plenty of missing context, disregarding everything else that we knew or that most of you didn't know. All right, I'm just getting started, so stay with me. The Cowboys, by the way, if you didn't know, brought Kelvin Banks in for a 30-day visit. The most important trait that I teased a second ago, Kelvin Banks absolutely possesses. How much do you love football? You may recall back in the calendar year 2023 when one non-credentialed YouTuber named Lando from the Lando Show was mentioning the sole singular focus for the Cowboys coaching staff, scouting department, and executives moving forward to help begin to rewrite this Cowboys culture that Brian Schottenheimer is now taking by the horns was to find out which guys really loved the game. Find out about the person, who they really are. How much do they love it? What is their work ethic like? How much will they embrace the me versus me mentality? That really is the ultimate difference, right? What do I always say? Physical traits get you to the league. Mental traits keep you there. That's why y'all better be paying attention to Kelvin Banks in round 1. You better be paying attention to guys like Emeka Ibuka, who I also wrote about. Maybe we'll talk about at the end of this one. Maybe it'll be a separate video. We'll see. I'm sure there are numerous others. In fact, I know for sure there's another one that we haven't really touched on yet. One particular corner out of Florida State. I haven't had the time to get to everybody that I want to talk about. High character. A relationship business, according to one Brian Schottenheimer, with a foundation upon a newfound culture. Steve Sarkisian further contextualized what I'm referencing, what the Cowboys are preaching today at the podium. How much do they love it? How are they wired? 2023, on this particular platform alone, I've been preaching about that right there. And this is not a victory lap. This is a guy who's lived it, who's been in professional locker rooms, who played professional baseball long enough to realize what truly matters, what really separates the guys like me, the Jags, just a guy who had a cup of coffee in affiliate baseball, and the guys who end up in the show for 10 years with that major league, that pension, potentially putting a Hall of Fame jacket on. The difference is all right here. Everybody's talented. Everybody with the AZL rookie Brewers in Glendale, Arizona. We all earned the right to be there. The difference in me getting cut after my rookie campaign, despite not throwing 100, that's also a factor, but was because by the time I figured out what really mattered, what was going to separate me to help me continue taking that next step, climbing the ladder, standing out, by the time I figured it out, it was already too late. I got to that position as an undrafted free agent senior. with zero leverage because I didn't have the understanding of what it really took, the me versus me mentality. I didn't love the game enough to take all the off the field stuff seriously, like diet, sleep, extra time in the weight room, positional specific skills, individual work, arm care, rehabilitation, prehabilitation, and then film study. Figuring out the low-hanging fruit in my delivery that would optimize not just health, but also velocity. How to be a pro. Kelvin Banks is the pride, as I'm getting ready to illustrate further here, of a nationally relevant college football playoff and national championship contending program with the foundation of Kelvin Banks in the 2022 offensive line class that transformed the way that people view the Texas Longhorns, who clawed their way out of the dark decade, thanks in large part to the leadership, the standard setting, the humble talent that Kelvin Banks was. No irony that he also actually hails from one humble Texas. Kind of fitting, isn't it? Steve Sarkisian at SEC Media Days, fresh off of a college football playoff appearance for the first time in program history, right, since the CFP, but first time being nationally relevant, actually contending for a national title since 2010. Riding high, the sleeping giant has risen. Everybody's excited about the transition. Set a program record for drafted players the season prior. 11 total. Arch Manning hype and hysteria. Once again, SEC transition. Number one recruiting class. But Steve Sarkisian, the first player mentioned, when asked about setting the tone for Kelvin Banks or for his program, he said, I'll tell you one thing, despite all those things that I just mentioned, Steve Sarkisian's words at the podium, the inaugural SEC preseason press conference. I wish I had 85 Kelvin Banks. Not to mention, let me make myself bigger so you guys can see me when I say this. That freshman season that I discussed, 4 first-round talents, 0 sacks allowed. He did all of that while dealing with and handling, like the champion that he is, a family crisis that nobody knew about at the time, behind the scenes. Get comfortable as we listen to this story and as I take you behind the Kelvin Banks curtain and hopefully further contextualize what you, and you being not necessarily you watching this video, but the general draft public, letting this guy's draft stock fall, pigeonholing him into groupthink, into one position just because his arms may not be adequately long enough. See, what you don't know is therein lies the underlying fallacy that is the NFL draft number one issue. Too much stock into physical traits and not enough deep dive into the mental. Coach Schottenheimer gets it now. And is it a coincidence that this is the first time we've really heard the entire panel of people on the podium for the Cowboys in their pre-draft press conference? After I've been trying to get people to wake up. Hey, listen, look. Hello. Schottenheimer is doing something here. He's trying to tell you something. Landon Holyfield, Athlon Sports. Schottenheimer reveals how half my day is spent. That'll give you a pretty good peek into how I feel about everything I'm trying to illustrate here. I'll link that in the description for you. It's a 2-minute read. 250 words, which single spaced is 1 page, or it's half a page, double spaced is 1 page. Shotty gets it. Is it a coincidence that now Will McClay, Stephen Jones, and Jerry Jones are all talking about it too? Are their eyes opened up? Remember, Duke Manyweather got a lot of Cowboys fans questioning how much does Tyler Guyton love it? It's up to him how good he wants to be. I gave my proposal and my overall thoughts on that. Could it be that Tyler Guyton, that Duke knew as a rookie when he was actually still working with them, has grown up a little bit? Could it be that now that they're not working together, or that they're not working together because Tyler Guyton wants a different voice? That's two different voices in the Cowboys offensive line coach's room now, Connor Riley, Clayton Adams, that resonate better to him. What they're teaching, how they're saying it, their vision, co-aligning a little bit better. Big Duke is one of the OL masterminds in this country. No knock on him, but he ain't the perfect coach, the perfect voice for everyone. Think outside the box a little bit. I'm just asking questions. Could it be the draft fatigue is setting in, and or not enough people know the real Kelvin Banks? Take a listen. Sorry, just realized y'all weren't seeing that with me. Here we go.
And it's no surprise, guys. Kelvin Banks Jr. is considered a generational talent here in Texas. And it's no surprise why, guys. He was a starter from day one. He has never missed a start. And in his career, he has only given up count them, 2 sacks. None this season. So you might never have known that over the last 2 years, he was shouldering the weight of slowly losing one of the most important people in his life.
We come right now, just want to say thank you for another day, Father. We also thank you for Monica's health right now, Father.
Amen.
Every time she would miss a game, I would always think about it, because not seeing her is kind of hard for me to go through in those moments.
Being a 20-year-old and having to deal with your mother possibly dying, that's a big thing.
Monica Banks is eager to get back to the stadium on game day because she says she's already missed too many. But no one missed her being there more.
Put your feet in front. There you go.
Than her son, Texas left tackle Kelvin Banks Jr.
Hello, everybody. This is Monica. I'm at UT. I am KB's #1 fan. Yes, it's his mama.
She would always scream on sideline, put him in the dirt, Tukey. Well, Tukey is my nickname. I could just hear her right now just saying that and yelling.
I'm like, you better hit somebody. Take them down now. I was polite, but I always express my feelings.
In the fall of 2022, the Banks family had plans to attend every game of Kelvin's freshman season. But in October, after a loss at Oklahoma State, Monica collapsed in the parking lot.
We get on the plane, we get back, and as soon as I land, the first call I give is my dad.
I told him, and they found a blood clot in her heart. We ended up staying in the hospital for 2 months in Oklahoma.
While Kelvin continued his freshman season in Austin, Monica was put on a ventilator and slipped into a coma. By December, she seemed to recover, but after returning home to Houston, her health challenges continued.
We'd take her to the hospital. They couldn't find nothing, so they gave her the fluids. She came home again, and then went right back. Every weekend, we was back in the hospital for about a year.
It definitely were times where I would be angry and frustrated. Everybody needs their mom, so just not being able to pick up the phone and talk to my mom, it was definitely tough.
I always wanted to be with my family. I did everything for them, and I wasn't able to do it anymore. I was wondering why God was allowing this to happen to me. I didn't understand. I'm sorry. I just didn't understand.
By January 2024, she had lost the ability to walk and talk. With doctors unable to determine a diagnosis, Monica's health deteriorated so severely, she was considered terminal and placed in hospice care.
They told us they want to make her as comfortable as possible. And you know, them words that you don't want to hear because they don't look like she was going to make it.
So many emotions, scared, angry, just not understanding how she can go from being happy and being able to do stuff with me to now she's probably not gonna live.
But a few weeks later, a chance encounter and a conversation that changed everything.
I was talking to a gentleman that I know. He said, when I had my...
A chance encounter, by the way, just my perspective, my 2 cents. Take it with a grain of salt. I don't believe that's a chance encounter. That's a God-fearing man, a God-fearing family, a God-fearing mother. To me, I always say at the end of every video, y'all probably heard me say it countless times now, prayer changes things. That's divine intervention is what this is, what y'all are about to hear.
My gallbladder, it made me feel nauseous. It made me have headaches. I couldn't eat. I couldn't do it. And I'm like, wait a minute. Those the same to a gentleman that I know. He said, when I had my gallbladder, it made me feel nauseous. It made me have headaches. I couldn't eat. I couldn't do it. And I'm like, wait a minute. Those the same symptom that Monica got. When they checked it, they seen toxins was leaking out of the gallbladder. Once they started draining it, she started coming back to life.
Come on, girl.
God has been good to me.
In July, doctors removed Monica's gallbladder. She has since regained her ability to speak and is getting stronger every day.
There you go.
When they finally figured out what was wrong, I could express myself again. I wasn't worried about not being here.
And on game day,
I love it!
she is back in the stands, shouting for her Tukey once again.
You're doing this thing, y'all. I'm excited. I'm excited. I'm happy I get to see my son. And just to be back in life, being myself again, being able to be mom, I'm just thankful.
I always turn and
That's
look
my
up
baby.
and just make sure like she knows I see where she is. Those moments are definitely special to me. I don't take them for granted.
Very few people outside of the program knew what Kelvin Banks and his family were going through, mostly because he dealt with it silently, but he certainly put it into his play on the field, guys, and it is showing up on the field. That weight that has been lifted from his shoulders. He is the back-to-back SEC Offensive Player of the Week for the victories that the Longhorns had last week and the week before. And guys, do not be surprised to see him representing the Longhorns on Sunday in the future.
There you have it. Sports below the surface because it's bigger than sports, oftentimes. It's mastering your own mind. It's overcoming adversity. It's failing forward. It's learning from your mistakes. It's constantly improving. With the foundation of faith. Not a coincidence to me. Say what you want about the player and how you think he best projects. But just make sure that you're also adding all the necessary context. I'm Lando from the Lando Show. Thank you to the official partner. I'll let the gear speak for itself. Scan this code right here and see for yourself, but I promise you it will not disappoint. That one right there. Discount code's built in. Get your wagalon.com code HOSL10, but you don't have to worry about none of that. Just scan the code. Takes care of it for you. Remember, prayer changes things, and the war is already won.